So thank you for being here. My name is Raveh. I'm a principal partner manager at AWS, focusing on startups in the last year. So we've heard some great stories about how CoreLogics and Checkmarks and Cultura went through the journey. But those are a bit bigger than startups. What do you do when you have a small startup with limited resources and you still want to do a partnership with AWS? Where Granulate has managed to do that. They managed to kind of take our best practices, go deeper, become efficient, and together we managed to build a partnership with limited resources at first that was highly successful for Granulate and their top line. So with that, I'm here with Tom. Tom, you want to present yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Amsterdam. I'm the CEO at Granulate. I was before that the VP of Product and led the partnership.
Yep. So today, let me get the clicker. So our agenda for today is a little bit about Granulate, so you understand the context and why we needed to tailor a better together story for AWS. Then Tom will talk about the partnership from their perspective. I will interrupt him once in a while to tell you what happened behind the scenes at AWS and how our team saw their place. And then Tom will break down the 5 stages that they view the partnership. So we talked about build, market, sell earlier. Granulate added 2 more motions to that helped them be more successful with us. After that, we'll summarize it with some tips and best practices, and we'll be here for questions too.
Cool. Thank you, Dor. I was very happy that AWS invited us to present here because AWS has been instrumental to our success, and we've been recently acquired by Intel, so it was quite a journey together. And just for context about Granulate, because it's important for the partnership journey and how we build that successful motion together, at Granulate we do compute cost optimization. So our product helps companies reduce cost on the cloud, which might be or might seem counterintuitive at first, especially when you're building a partnership with an organization that drives cloud sale and cloud consumption. And compute cost is, by most popular statistics, is around 50% of each company's cloud spend. And Granulate, by being deployed on AWS compute service or compute product, helps to reduce that service cost by reducing consumption. We improve performance and therefore reduce the cost. And just as a reference point, this is an example from Mobileye, which runs a big data workload on the cloud, over 200,000 cores on AWS. They deployed Granulate, and Granulate delivered improved performance, and that improved performance automatically translated into over 45% reduction in their cloud costs. This is important when we talk about the partnership journey. Dor, can you tell us a bit about the main practices?
Right, yeah. So you've heard about these steps. Let's talk a little bit about what they mean. So you see product, marketing, and sales. When we talk about product, we're not talking about your value prop to end customers. We know you know how to do that. We're talking about taking that another level and adapting that to specifically for AWS to create a better together story. So if we're selling to an AWS customer or we're trying to harness the help of an AWS account manager, we need to speak Amazonian. So for example, we wouldn't say Granulate is good for compute. We'd say Granulate is good for EC2 on AWS, which is the name of our compute product. And we'll explain why specifically they're good for that. In co-marketing, we look at where can we tell that story out there to help you as a startup generate more leads. And you can use our brand and logo. We can do joint webinars, joint blogs, joint collateral. So you can enjoy the lift of the AWS brand for your marketing. When we finally get to co-sell, this is a motion where startups at first share opportunities with us in order to receive help in them. We can connect you to the account teams of the end customer, and they can help you accelerate the deal in a number of ways. What we're trying to get, and this is what we managed to do with Granulate, is to get to a point where our account teams know how you work, they know your use case, and they start driving opportunities to you.
So when we talk about success, this is how our success looks like, right? We operated in each one of those pillars in order to create success. We have invested in building and differentiating on AWS around competencies. We have operated and optimized our co-sale process with AWS, and we will cover it in the next slides, in order to create significant traction, a lot of ACE opportunities, a lot of AWS originated leads, and we've created together significant success stories with customers all around the world, a lot of them through the AWS engagement itself. And what we're going to do right now is actually build the framework that led us, and we are an optimization company, really optimize the partnership process and the partnership work. And as we see it, it's involved, or it's chronologically built of 5 different steps. You need to build, which means create the eligibility, build a strategy around AWS, and adapt the organization, the startup strategy, to be more coherent with AWS. Then you need to operate with excellence, crossing the chasm and rising above the noise of a lot of different partners that are partnering with AWS. And after you've done that, you can start differentiating and making it a lot more AWS specific and a lot more focused around specific AWS points. And when you've done that, you can build integrated motion to reach scale. And Dor, you want to tell us a bit how you start building with AWS?
Yeah, so when we talk about build, in our words, in the AWS words, we talk about building the right mechanisms to work with us. That means certifications. It means understanding the context of your product with AWS, but it also means some technical phases, like going through a technical validation, deploying your product on Marketplace, going through those phases so we're ready to start working together.
Perfect. And if we look at it on the eyes of Granulate, or how we approach this process, so this is bottoms up first. This is a place or the process or the stage in which the startup and Granulate had to invest a lot more than we got. You need to invest in AWS. You need to put your money on the table and go through the eligibility process, allocating resources, and start understanding the organization. And we at Granulate put our chips on AWS at first, and our second go-to-market hiring was actually not a salesperson, but an alliance lead to manage the AWS relationship. And we have researched and optimized the way that we understand the structure and KPIs of the organization to a significant portion. And the end of the first stage is when you have that itsy-bitsy point of traction. So you have the first success stories, you have the marquee customers, in our point it was AppsFlyer and Mobileye, that allows you to tap their stories, allow you to tap those references, and start circling in AWS to create more traction and more engagement.
I want to double click on one thing Tom just said. So he said our second business employee was an AWS Alliance lead. That's very unusual. And earlier today on stage, a few of the partners here said that what really moved the needle for them, and it was when they hired a full-time person to work with us. Because as Tom said, the early stages, there's a bit more load on the partner. Our sellers work with thousands of partners, actually have 100K. We need to rise above the noise, and there's some work on the startup side. And to Granulate's credit, they realized that very fast. So after they hired their VP sales, they said, we're not hiring sellers, we're hiring an alliance lead. We understand we need to start building this now in parallel to building our pipeline and our sales org. I think this was a major differentiator. Tom was personally involved in the partnership. He was the alliance lead for a while because they understood the strategic importance of this strategy.
And the second part was to take our strategy as an organization and align it with how AWS works and the AWS strategy. And when we talk about strategy, we talk about 5 different pillars. And this is just a framework on how to address it, but we tackled each and every one of those, and I'll give you examples in the next slides. But first, we had to understand the priorities and KPIs of AWS, which are directly derivative from the structure and from the product model, from the vertical model. Then we understood the program motions that AWS offers and how we can tap those to accelerate. Then we adapted our go-to-market value proposition, the way that we tell the value of the story, the way that we tell the value of the story for AWS itself. And then we adapted and took all of those to create routes to market, which are AWS specific, focusing on AWS customers on the cloud and going to the market with AWS channels that we will touch. And the last part of it is actually breaking down our own processes and integrating them to the core with how AWS works. And as an example over here, what we did is we researched the entire AWS structure model and incentives and KPI-based operations of the different sellers, and us as a cost reduction company understood where we might be in a misalignment with AWS, and now we need to rebuild the story and who we need to focus on in order to take that disadvantage at the beginning, but tap it into the KPIs and priorities of the sellers themselves. And we had strong focus on the sellers themselves. And we have tapped into programs and motions like the marketplace and etc. and the ISV in order to create those financial incentives as well as partnerships with specific people with AWS in order to reach the market in a way that drives the incentives for the sellers and for the account teams. Other than that, we have took our own general vertical approach, because Granulate is not a vertical specific solution, and adapted the way that we look at the market to be more vertical specific. Because the way that AWS looks at the market is around vertical solutions, and we will see how it comes to action when we talk about scale and how we took it to the extreme, integrating all of our motions into a vertical specific motion.
Yeah, and so I think in the last two slides, we saw that Granular got very granular with APN. And what they did here, they didn't do it with a 10-person team. So it can be intimidating when a partner talks about, we have a different approach to different verticals and a different approach to different products. But they didn't do it with 20 people. They did it in an efficient and a methodological way, meaning building one step after the other and then repeating it in another segment or vertical. What does that mean? Let's talk about that a little more, because I think it was a big differentiator to their success. When we talk about vertical approach, I gave an example of a product approach where we say, Granulate is good for EC2 and not compute. Vertical approach is, why is Granulate good for ad tech and marketing companies specifically that use AWS? How can we think about their journey, the challenges they face in that vertical, and then adapt the Granulate use cases and value to that? So when we did vertical approach, we tackled ad tech first, and we looked at the journey of DevOps and ad tech. What are their peaks? What are their challenges? And then we created the case studies to cater to that vertical. That resonates with our teams and our customers much better than the general, hey, we're a cloud optimizer, we're good for everything. And once we did that successfully in ad tech, we went to media and entertainment. Now, this also helps us get moved word to mouth within AWS. So if we come with 10 opportunities to AWS account team, one is in healthcare, one is in media, one is in ad tech, we'll get to 10 different teams, 10 different people. If we focus on one vertical and somebody says, oh, this is a really good solution for gaming companies, let me tell my gaming account managers about this solution that's specific for our team and our portfolio. And through this way, by focusing, we actually managed to do more in co-sell than saying, hey, we're good for everything. Like, we don't want to exclude anybody, so we'll say we're good for anything. Focus really helped here.
So tapping into what Dor just said, we took our own value proposition to the market, the way that we approach the market, and made it a lot more specific, around specific product, around specific AWS services, and adapted our collateral and our customer-facing materials to talk about AWS, talk about AWS-specific services, but more importantly, to focus on the services and products that AWS cares more about. And creating unique motions around Graviton, around containers, to really be able to tap together into a unique interest to drive acceleration to the way that we reach the market.
Yeah, I want to double tap on that again. So Tom showed a slide previously where it showed you different AWS roles, and those are all folks that can potentially help a startup get to more customers and their KPIs. This is another differentiator. Granulate looked at what are different AWS teams' KPIs. How can they, as a partner, help those teams reach their KPIs, understanding they will receive help back? Practical example, we have a service called Graviton. It's another compute instance made by AWS. Granulate tailored their story for Graviton, saying, this is why we help customers adopt Graviton. This is the use cases we solve in Graviton adoption. Once we created the collateral, it was much easier for me to connect them to the Graviton team. Now, the Graviton team also have GTM bandwidth to promote Graviton and the Graviton supportive partners. So once we created the collateral, the story, and the real use case and case studies, the Graviton team said, hey, yes, sure, we'll help promote you when we talk to customers because you help our product. So that's what it means when we say a product and a technology segment versus a vertical or horizontal.
This wasn't a sporadic decision. It was a consistent strategy that we had to focus on what we understood that AWS cares about, that is also beneficial to us. And even though that we were acquired by Intel, and some may think that Intel and Graviton have some competition points, we still do optimize a lot on deploying on Graviton and optimizing on Graviton as a unique proposition for our partnership together to accelerate our reach to the market. And Dor didn't mention it, but Dor and the entire partnership team were really influential in helping us building the channel strategy in the way that we reach the market. So we did not focus on channels. AWS opened the door for us with the marketplace enablement program that allows SIs to sell Granulate by themselves through the marketplace and make money on it and reach their KPIs, but also through introductions to main consulting partners and helping us formulate or start an initiative in the go-to-market that we wouldn't have started otherwise. And the last point in our adoption of strategy is actually breaking up our selling process, which all of you or some of you may look at it and it seems familiar, which includes the normal processes of introduction, discovery, our own open source tool, the G-Profiler, that allows us to predict the value in advance, and then the POC, and took the engagement model with the partner, with AWS, and integrated it to our selling process with the sellers and through our alliance lead inside the organization. So every deal that Granulate is involved in starts with customer introduction and discovery call, but is then registered in the ACE and includes meetings with the account team to help accelerate that business and to help create a joint motion with the customer. Once we are involved in a POC and create success, we already start the engagement with their account team again to leverage that success story, and start reaching more customers of their own. This creates an amplification process in which, if you are focused on a product, a vertical, or region, helps you reach more customers from the same region, from the same size, from the same vertical, through champions that are now very much confident in the product.
I want to double click on this one too, because I think you guys did something really unique here. This part really impressed me because this became part of the Granulate sales enablement for their sales. So when they onboard a new salesperson, they say, this is our sales process, and AWS is an inherent part of it. This really increased the traction. So when it's not just, hey, did you remember to do that as part of the partnership? No, it's part of your job as sales to include the AWS process, because again, they understand that it will shorten the cycle, it will probably increase the TCV of the deal. And now today, when Granulate hires a new salesperson, this training is part of their day-to-day, and every new opportunity, this is the process.
Yeah, as Dor mentioned, now in every customer deal that we have, the salespeople themselves are trying to reach AWS and tap them inside because they saw so much value through acceleration and through leveraging AWS as a trusted advisor. And after you've built that strategy, you've built those motions, it's time to rise above the noise, right? A lot of organizations do that to some extent in different optimization manner, but it's still, at this point, as we saw it, our responsibility to show AWS success, right? To show them that we are all in, to operate with excellence, to build those personal engagement and customer engagement and success stories until we are able to rise above a certain noise, that we are able to differentiate them and scale. And this is exactly what we did, right? We made a lot of successes, and we made sure to promote those successes and to demonstrate that we are AWS first and for AWS first through our sales process, our go-to-market focus, and our product. And the result was creating many ACE opportunities, a lot of ACE wins, diverting most of our closing process into the AWS marketplace, which is beneficial all around, and really investing in the co-sell and optimizing the co-sell motion with the sellers, and Dor specifically in the partnership team were instrumental here. What we did is we what we did is take every engagement that we had and optimize the messaging, optimize the focus, personalize what we do to really optimize that process to reach what we find as a peak value for us, the 1 to 7 the partnership opportunity ratio, which means that every 7 deals that we bring, AWS creates a new business for us, which for us has significant impact because it's not just quantity, but it's also the quality of the pipe, which are great customers for us. And today our go-to-market or our AWS go-to-market in Granulate is over 80% of our customer base. And then we have reached a certain credibility and a certain partnership model with AWS. We started to differentiating a lot. We were focused on allowing AWS customers to get an AWS first customer journey using the AWS terms, AWS colors, AWS look and feel, but also taking our product and investing in launching products and features on AWS first and only, and integrating into AWS-specific tools and capabilities. And those can be seen through the designations, the product offerings we offer in AWS, but also through go-to-market and commercial motions that we have AWS pricing, AWS packaging, and AWS commercial models through engagement and through referrals, but also when we reach the customers. And when we've done all of that, we've started to work with Dor in order to create an integrated motion, taking all of those stuff together to operate at scale. And we had to choose the right verticals, right segments, right product to focus on in order to take that marketing, commercial, product, and co-sell efforts and create significant cross-vertical, cross-product motions. And we have invested significantly in a vertical-focused approach with AWS and incorporated a lot of different motions into it. It starts from creating the marketing collateral, customer-facing, and personalized assets for that product or segment, specifically here, the advertising and marketing segment, but it includes also engagement with the segment leaders and creating co-sell motions, both one-to-one co-sell, but also one-to-many co-sell motions that AWS led for us through what we call the catalyst motion. We were able to engage with every AWS seller that has an advertising and marketing account, which was tremendous for us. And we have took that partnership with the segment team in order to start building integration for that industry-specific product offering, such as the real-time bidding workload. And what you can see here are the AWS-originated engagement that we had. Pinterest and Snap are obvious names, but a lot of our advertisement and marketing engagement in Israel, in the world, were AWS accelerated or AWS originated, which made it super impactful. And then we took that integrated motion and started replicating it to additional verticals. So Dor talked about the media entertainment. We're doing it in gaming as well. And we're already starting to develop the next scale motion that we have, which are around segments and products after we have took that vertical specific motion and made it a repeatable model internally. And we've also recruited people that are specific to manage those scale motions in the Alliance team and grew it internally quite significantly.
I think that, you know, when we talk about all this, it almost sounds like we have a 30-person partner team on the Granulate side. But the team is now 4 people strong. Most of the time it was 2 or 3. So I think the lesson here is, 1, a lot of focus. 2, Granulate, in their position in the partnership, they didn't talk a lot about what's not good. Like, I always wanted to get their feedback about what's not working, but very quickly we moved to, what can we do about it? How can we solve it together? If something is not working right, what is the way for us together to hack it and create a best practice around it? And I think when you do that efficiently and you focus on overcoming the hurdles together, it really develops a partnership. You know, it's sometimes when I talk in AWS about Granulate, I say we, because I'm so used to representing them in their interest, and they help me create that mutual situation by not saying, hey, this sucks, or the training wasn't good enough, but hey, we're missing this. If we do that and that, can we overcome that together? I think that approach took you guys a long way with limited bandwidth. The initial team wasn't highly experienced in partnership. but they had a lot of motivations, they were good listeners, and they understood that the partnership team is there to teach you, not to do it for you. So I can't write to 200 account managers at scale and then try to get you introductions, but I can teach you how to approach them and help you fine-tune it so you get a 100% response rate when you write to them yourselves. And then you can scale that with your team.
And we see Dor as one of our internal go-to-market leaders and also involved him in hiring and screening leaders inside Granulate. And I think that's important, right? Because you build that trust, you have that partnership model, so you can really learn and tap into the experience and understanding of the organization to optimize your own processes and start scaling it. And in the end of the day, us as a startup, we are a fly on the wall of a giant called AWS, and we need to align ourselves with the way that AWS works and operates in order to tap into success together, and that was our main focus. So thank you all. If you're interested, we offer a G-Profiler as an open source product. You can try and evaluate and see the cost reduction and performance improvement that you're going to get. And most importantly, it's zero R&D efforts. And Dor, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Same here. Thank you all.